You might be wondering why I'm sitting in the car like this with my helmet on, and why the audio sounds funny. That is because I got the intercom to work with the camera. That's really important. It's violating one of the rules we set out to in this little vlog, not to do things that weren't really imperative, so we wouldn't waste a bunch of time. Well, I felt like doing this because I feel like I got a bunch of time back. So the transmission, turns out, is fine. I pulled the casing apart, as you'll see, and yeah, turns out I had it in gear. That's why it wasn't turning real good. It was a little numbnuts move on my part. I should have known better than to check and make sure it wasn't in gear while I was trying to turn the gears. But yeah, I haven't messed around with front wheel drive in a long time. I'm used to the rear wheel drive stuff, so especially this thing is really goofy with the way the gears are selected. Anyway, so yeah, I basically just glued the housings back together and touched up the clutch mechanism inside there, because that was all bound up and corroded. Moves smooth and buttery now again. So basically I thought I was going to spend all day today and all day tomorrow tearing that transmission back apart and milling the housing on the limited slip, and now I don't have to do that. So I figured I would check out the new camera and intercom setup that I got going on here. So I'm recording on the Verb like I normally am, and there's this cool accessory called the rugged cable. It has a video jack, it has a microphone jack, which we're plugged into now, and then it has a mini USB for charging. What I'm going to end up doing is hardwiring the Verb into the car, so we can pick up what's going on outside. And one of the things I haven't really utilized with this camera is the G metrics, they call it, which is basically built-in GPS information that you can use, overlays that the software builds for you. If you are unfamiliar with what this thing can do, I would recommend checking out some other videos that people have posted with their Verbs. I'll post a link. I know my buddy Bill, teammate Bill, used it for checking out the Sterling Truck Trail for some reconnaissance for a future rally. And one of my Facebook buddies, Darren Baker in Australia, he's actually the one that turned me onto this camera, runs one in his super awesome Nissan Silvia rally car, which is a big inspiration to me. Anyway, yeah, it does some pretty cool stuff, so I will also be able to do that cool stuff now, and you'll be able to hear what the co-driver and I are saying. Not that we're super entertaining, but it's nice to be able to hear something other than just the gravel hitting the chassis. So yeah, anyway, more updates coming. I'm not done working. This is kind of weird. I'm doing the intro in the middle of the work instead of at the beginning. Still got some more work to do, so stay tuned. We'll get back into the time lapse, get some more work done, and we'll check in when we're all finished for the day. Alright, that's going to do it for this episode. I'm going to try to keep this wrap-up brief. We got the engine and transmission reinstalled. It's back in the car. That's some good progress to see. One of the things that I didn't get captured on video was the power steering pump project. So I was not able to find a belt to go from the crank to the water pump to bypass the power steering pump. So I disassembled the power steering pump, pulled the vanes out, greased it up, reassembled it, and I made a block-off plate for the low-pressure side and welded up another fitting for the high-pressure side before I stuck it back on the block. So maybe in the future I'll get around to making that delete kit that I want, but for now this is going to have to do. We don't have time to tinker with it anymore. So there it is. Just got to rewire it, replumb it, install the new radiator, fill it up with fluids, and it should fire up. So thanks for checking it out, and we'll see you next time here in Dexter's Laboratory.